Welcome. I'd like to call to order the Board of Education meeting for Monday, October 24th, 2022. Mr. Miller, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Dole?
Here.
Mrs. Dernbaugh?
Absent.
Dr. Rohr?
Here.
Mr. Schroyer?
Here.
Megan Sparks?
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion, please, to appoint Brian L. Miller as treasurer pro term temp?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Miller, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Dole?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schroyer?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Can I please have a motion for the approval of the agenda as presented?
Moved. Second.
Mr. Miller, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Dole?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schroyer?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Item number 6 is honors CHS Merit Scholars. I believe that's Mr. Wesney.
Good evening. Tonight we get the opportunity to honor our National Merit Scholars. It's an exciting opportunity for us to have our National Merit Scholars here with us this evening. Introduce Mr. CARROLL, coordinating principal here at Centerville High School. He's going to call our students up and recognize each student as part of a National Merit semifinalist and finalist. Thank you, Mr. CARROLL.
Good evening, and thank you to the board and Mr. Wesney for inviting us here to recognize our National Merit Scholars. If I could have all of you come up and line up, we'll call you up. While they're coming up, I'll tell you a little bit about this. The PSAT serves as an initial screening for the National Merit Scholarship Program. Last year, over 1.5 million juniors in 21,000 high schools across the United States took the PSAT hoping to qualify for this recognition. Only 50,000 students qualified for program recognition, and approximately 8,050 will receive scholarships for undergraduate study. We're here to recognize and honor 21 of our best students for being selected as National Merit Hispanic Scholars, National Merit African American Scholars, National Merit Commended Scholars, and National Merit Semifinalists. We'll start with our National Merit African American Scholars. If I could have Gabrielle Davis come up. Ahmed Mahmood.
Congratulations.
Someone pretty busy at Centerville High School, so there's a lot of other activities going on. So some may not be here. National Hispanic Scholar is Jamison Davis. National Merit Commended Scholar James Irwin. This whole list will be commended scholars. We also have Priya Goyal. Junil Kim. Matthew Lee. Madison McAfee. Samuel McLean. Charlotte Melville. Leo Ruthmeyer. Eleanor Smith. Shaden Verma. Jim Wu. And finally, our National Merit semifinalists, Jeremy Etom, Arjun Karup, Unju Lee, Eric Lee, Sanjana Reddy Ranamala, and Shreya Singh. The 6 semifinalist seniors will have the opportunity to continue in the competition to earn National Merit Scholarships later this spring. We celebrated with our students and families at a recognition assembly on October the 13th. As a part of that ceremony, we have the students introduce their families and then talk to us and share experiences they've had at Centerville High School that have had a positive impact on them. Honestly, it's an absolute delight to experience that and to hear them thank their families and talk about all the curricular and extracurricular programs we have here at Centerville High School. I think it went from Science Olympiad to band to orchestra to golf to sports to just everything. So, and performing arts just tons of performing arts. So the future is definitely bright for these students, and we wish them the very best. Congratulations, scholars.
Next item on our agenda is public participation, but seeing that there's nobody, we will skip over to that portion. Board and administrative reports. The first one is legislative report, which is me. The State Board of Education voted 12-7 to send a resolution to the Executive Committee for further consideration. The resolution opposes the proposed changes to the federal rule that would interpret Title IX as banning discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. Also, the ad hoc legislative committee unanimously passed a resolution that would recommend to the General Assembly the repeal of the provisions of the third grade reading guarantee law that mandates retention of third grade students who do not meet minimum score on the third grade English language arts assessment. And that's the end of my report. I did give you guys some light reading to do, whatever you want. Thank you. Just for your information. Good job, everyone. Item number 2 is the student board reports.
A couple things we'd like to. All right. Okay. Good evening. My name is Jacob. I'm a senior. I'm one of our student board reps. I have a couple things I'm going to talk to you guys about today. Number 1, we did visit the School of Possibilities. So all 5 of us visited our School of Possibilities. I saw Mrs. Swan posted that on our social media page. We wanted to make sure that our students at the School of Possibilities understood that this position existed and that they have the opportunity to apply for this position when applications go out later this year, or later next year, I should say. So we just went there, had a sort of a transparency meeting with the students there to make sure that they knew that our position existed, and also to show them the QR code that we have. That's something that we have and that we're trying to put in most of our schools so that we don't have to actually see the students, so that they can give us input and they don't actually have to see us because we are such a large district. Next, I'll talk a little bit about the Montgomery County Student Advisory Delegation. This is a quarterly meeting that Thomas and I go to. Thomas and I go to. You'll remember Zoe and I did this last year. We went to the Montgomery County ESC with Shannon Cox, our superintendent. This past meeting, we met former Governor Bob Taft, talked a little bit about school funding. He quizzed us on state government, and being the government nerd and politics nerd I am, I knew every single answer and threw my hand up every single time he asked a question, and he thought that was really funny. I even knew about the Virginia election with Glenn Youngkin, like stuff like that he thought was really silly. So that was really fun. We got to explore U-Science, which is something that some of our other districts in the county use. We use Naviance here at the high school for transcripts and colleges, but other districts in the county do use U-Science. It's something that the County Education Center has purchased for all the districts in the county and that they're able to use. I believe that was all from that meeting. Now, I'll move on to, and I do provide some reading for you guys under your agendas there. You will see a revised agenda under your plans there for the 6th of October. This was the same day as our county meeting at the County Education Center. But this was a meeting with State Representative Tom Young. This was regarding the alternative assessment when it comes to how we look at who falls into the alternative assessment, who falls into our general ed testing. We had the outline of the actual meeting is in front of you guys, and you'll see also there's an Ohio Alternative Assessment Participation Decision-Making Tool, very long convoluted. But what that is that's essentially a flow chart that every single parent whose student is being considered for the alternative assessment, they have to review this. And so this is something, and they have to fill out. And these are new guidelines that went into effect in 2020, and that cut down on our alternative assessment. How many students took the alternative assessment versus our general ed testing. This meeting was with our central office team. It also our organizers, Mrs. Sparks, Mr. Wesney, some of our school psychologists were there as well. Our directors, our curriculum directors. We also had some individuals who work with our special ed students, so our intervention specialists, our preschool directors, and they all gave some really good insight, but nothing beat the parent insight that you'll see on your revised agenda under 2B. The parent perspectives was an incredibly important part of the meeting because this actually gave Representative Young an insight as to what it's like to be a parent of somebody who takes the alternative assessment. A parent that has to sit down and answer, these questions. A parent like Mrs. Sparks, per se, whose son Zach is currently on the alternative assessment, is on an IEP. And so, parents have to sit down and are basically told if their students don't qualify within the first 3 columns, that they don't qualify at all for the alternative assessment. So you have students who cannot take the alternative assessment work or cannot take the standard education testing and are being forced to. And so we spoke with them a little bit about that. You'll see on the second page or on the third page the proposed plan for change. This is something that our teachers are actually advocating, would like to see. This is a return to the portfolio style of assessment for those on an IEP. Some of our students who are on the extreme ends, who cannot meaningfully participate in the alternative assessment, still have to take the alternative assessment. One of our teachers told me that she had to ask a student who was a non-visual student how many red squares were on the screen. And, obviously, that student can't answer that question. They're physically incapable of answering that question. And so there were multiple examples that some of the teachers told me that it's extremely disheartening. And so it makes sense as to why it's also difficult to find, teachers in that area. So, lots to look at there. I didn't want to, I didn't cover everything in there because there is quite a bit. A lot of the bullet points in there were questions that were asked by Representative Young, such as the funding and the district numbers that we went through and added in and sent to his office. But I know that Representative Young did have a meeting with Charlotte McGuire from the State Board, and they're looking into hopefully making some changes to that, but there's obviously no, it's not set in stone or anything like that, but this was a good meeting for some of our parents to actually have an elected official, hear their testimony. So you don't have to listen to me anymore, I'm done, I promise.
Great job.
Thank you.
Good job, guys. The next person up is Mr. Morgan with his cybersecurity report.
Good evening. October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and I just wanted to quickly report to the board on a couple of initiatives that are taking place related to that. And we did kick off this month a project to enforce and to work with staff on being able to use a multi-step or a 2-step authentication method for their accounts. And many of you experience this with your bank accounts or other accounts that you have where you're prompted to put in a one-time code or to verify your authentication before you can access a service or a website. And we're going to be working with our staff over the next month to enforce that on their accounts. And we have, in some cases, a physical USB key that will be plugged into the computer to verify the presence of the person who's trying to log in. And again, they'll also have the ability to use a text code or an app that runs on a phone that will get them logged into their account. And the objective here is to minimize unverified access to any of our accounts. We also, this month, finished our audit and cleanup of accounts. And each user had to sign the agreement, which is an acknowledgement that there's somebody on the other end of that account. And the ones where we have dormant accounts, staff who have left or resigned or retired, those accounts have been cleaned up and removed so that they're not vectors for unauthorized access or unmonitored access. And when you combine that with the work that we've done over the last couple of years to provide some information and training to staff about what to look for, especially when it comes to phishing emails, we do test our users throughout the year so that we send them examples of what would be considered or appear to be a fraudulent email that's prompting them to give credentials or to give other personal information. And we use that information then to target the training. In some cases, that's me showing up at their desk to discuss their response to the email. And in some cases, we provide other examples of what to be looking for and how to avoid giving credentials away that would allow somebody from a remote location to access their account or any other account in the district and protect our information as well as we can. So those are just a couple of things that we're working on and that we have in place that address cybersecurity and helping create a better awareness within the district and especially with our staff. That's important now. If you've been following the news, there have been some high-profile cases of school districts who have had accounts compromised or have led to ransomware or other problems for the district, which we're hoping to prevent and avoid at all costs. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Just want to take a minute to thank Shannon and his team and the work that they do. Obviously, being Cybersecurity Month, appreciate the efforts that take place in our IT department and your staff. So thank you for your work to protect us.
Okay, the next items are the treasurer's recommendation. So the first one is consider approving the September 2022 financial statements, the monthly general fund rolling report, the monthly cash reconciliation, the monthly fund activity report, then and now purchase orders approved by the administration, certified by the treasurer, and supported by the board resolution totaling $101,765.78. Also consider approving the minutes for the following Board of Education meetings: September 26, 2022 regular meeting, October 17th, 2022 work session.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
May I have the roll, please, Mr. Miller?
Mr. Dole?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schroyer?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Okay, consider approving a 6.5 increase to health insurance premiums for calendar year 2023.
So moved.
Second.
I'm going to comment on that is that 6.5%, just so everyone knows, is really low. Most are double digits and above, and the reason it's so low is because we self-fund. We've done a good job with that, and again, it's a positive thing that it's only 6.5%. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows, even though it looks like 6.5%, that is so low compared to the average increase that most people are seeing for insurance premiums.
Mr. Miller, could I have the roll, please?
Mr. Dole?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schroyer?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Next is superintendent's recommendation. Schedule A, the superintendent recommends accepting resignations as listed on Schedule A. Schedule B, the superintendent recommends the employment, change of employment status, or the change of contract status for the certificated personnel listed on Schedule B for the salaries, programs, and on the effective dates given. Schedule C, the superintendent recommends the employment or change of employment status for the support staff personnel listed on Schedule C for the salaries, programs, and on the effective dates given. Schedules D and D1, the superintendent recommends the employment of the personnel listed on Schedule D and D1 for supplementary contracts or extra duty assignments. And Schedule E, the superintendent recommends the guaranteeing leaves of absence for the personnel listed on Schedule E for the reasons and on the dates given. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Miller, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Dole?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schroyer?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes, the last thing is consider approving the 2023 Board of Education meeting dates. I would like to propose we change March 20th, which is a Monday, to Tuesday, March 21st, due to the all-band concert here at CHS and some conflicts with board members. That work?
One option to consider is we could just have one meeting a month. We've done that. Certain times of the year, like in December, we have a work session and a regular meeting at the same time. If we would do that in March, I would suggest we do that on the 13th, which would be our work session. So that could be a work session / regular meeting.
Whatever you
that
think.
time.
I'm good with whatever.
So March work session would be the 20th.
Well, because of spring break. we
Spring
would do
break,
that.
I got you.
So the work session would be the 13th. The regular meeting we had on the calendar here, at the back of your agenda, has the 20th, and we have a band concert
Gotcha.
that evening. So we could move it on the 13th and have a work session and a regular meeting, or make it on the 21st, which would be a Tuesday.
What's your preference?
Yeah, good.
My vote is the 13th.
13th, I agree.
For both the work session and
Work session.
Start at 6 p.m. then?
Yes. And then I will change this calendar to reflect that change.
Sounds good.
And send that out to you.
But it will be 6, not 6:30, right? 6, start at 6.
Yes.
6 to 7 for the session and 7 for the meeting.
Yes.
Do we have to second or move that or anything? Or?
We haven't had a motion yet. So moved.
Mr.
As
Miller-
amended. As amended.
Mr. Miller, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Dole?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schroyer?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes. Any final comments regarding the past or old business for the Board of Education? I just want to remind the public, I know this meeting seems like it goes super fast, but we do have a work session that takes a lot longer when we discuss all these items and have our conversation and hashes it out. So, okay, if there's nothing else, may I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved. Okay.
Mr. Miller, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Dole?
Yes.
Dr. Rohr?
Yes.
Mr. Schroyer?
Yes.
Megan Sparks?
Yes, thank you, everyone have a good night.